In this video, we're going to learn about Power Pivot. If you'd like to follow along, open the Excel file PowerPivotExample.xlsx from My Courses and click on the Order Data worksheet. Now, in order to move on, you need to see a ribbon tab that says Power Pivot. If you don't see that tab that says Power Pivot, you need to go to File, and then Options. On the left-hand side, click Add-ins. Next to Manage Add-ins, we're not going to go to Excel Add-ins this time. We're going to click the down arrow where it says Excel Add-ins. This time we're going to go to COM Add-ins. That's the place that you go to find add-ins that are first available to users of Office 365 that are later rolled down to older versions of Excel. So once you see Manage COM Add-ins, click Go. And you want to make sure that your Power Pivot is checked. And Power View isn't a bad idea if you have Power Pivot. And there are some other things that you can see that you might want to add. But for this one, make sure that Power Pivot is checked and Power View is checked, and then just click OK. Now that you have the tab for Power Pivot, we're going to click that tab for Power Pivot. Then we're going to click any cell, making sure that you're on the Order Data worksheet. We're going to click any cell within the list, it doesn't matter which one, and then we're going to click Add to Data Model. So we click Add to Data Model. It asks where's the data. Notice this table goes down to 2,157 rows, so it's a lot of data that we're dealing with, but don't worry, Excel will handle it just fine. Make sure that the My Table has headers is checked, otherwise the Power Pivot is going to work very strangely, and then click OK. And we can just close this Power Pivot window for now. We'll use it in a second. So you can just click the X to close this Power Pivot window to get back to the Power Pivot Example.xlsx. And now we're going to click the salesperson data. So what's going to happen with this data is we have some ordered data, but it only has the salesperson number. Then we have a different table that has for the salesperson number what their name is, what their commission rate is, and what their home state is. So we're going to try to combine these two tables. So once again, we're going to click any cell within the table on the salesperson data tab. It doesn't matter which cell, and we're going to click Power Pivot and then Add to Data Model. Notice how it selected the correct range. This table is much smaller. My table has headers, and click OK. Now, if you had more than two tables, you just keep repeating this task until you had all your tables added. You could add lots of tables to your data model. In this example, we're only going to add 2 tables. Now, in the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to create a relationship. So Excel knows that the salesperson number in the first table is related to the salesperson number in the second table. So in order to do that, we need to have our Power Pivot window open. If your Power Pivot window is not open, you can go back to your Power Pivot example and click the Power Pivot and just click Manage the Data Model. And that window comes right back up. So in order to create the relationship in our Power Pivot window, we're going to click in the View area, we're going to click Diagram View. And notice we can see our 2 tables, Table 1 and Table 2, and we could also rename those tables. I'm not going to bother doing that in this video, but that can be done. We can arrange this so we can see all the fields in Table 1 and Table 2. They can also be moved around if you would like. But what we're going to do is from Table 1, we're going to take the field salesperson number, single click it, and then drag it over and drop it on top of salesperson number on table 2. So you can see that the first one is green and the second one is green, and then we just let go, and Excel is going to create a relationship so it knows that salesperson number and salesperson number are related. Now we're going to do 3 tasks. The first task that we're going to do is we're going to calculate commission by salesperson. So still in our Power Pivot window, we're going to click Pivot Table and then Pivot Table. We're going to choose a new worksheet and click OK. And notice both of our tables are available for our pivot table. So if we click those greater than symbols next to the table, we can see all of the fields in table 1, and I click the greater than symbol and I can see all of my fields in table 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down until I see table 2. I'm going to drag salesperson name into the row area. Now into the sigma values area, I'm going to drag commission rate. And then from table 1, I'm going to drag revenue. So that is how easy it is with Power Pivot to calculate the revenue by salesperson, bring in the commission rate. Had we just done it from order data, we could have done the pivot table to get the revenue by salesperson number. Then we would have had to do 2 VLOOKUPs to insert the name and to insert the commission rate. Much easier with Power Pivot. Now let's take a look at our second task. Our second task is to look at units sold by book and salesperson. So making sure that you're on the Power Pivot tab, we're going to click Manage for the data model. And now we're going to click Pivot Table once again. This time we can just click the Pivot Table button because we want a pivot table. We're going to choose a new worksheet once again. And now from table 1, we're going to click that greater than symbol next to table 1 so we can see all of the different fields. We're going to drag book name into the row area. We're going to drag books sold into the sigma values area. So we now have how many units sold of each book. But then we're going to scroll down, and from table 2 we'll click that greater than symbol to get all the fields. We'll put salesperson name into the column area. So now we can see exactly how many units of each book was sold by each salesperson. Now we can also see how easy it is to rearrange this pivot table. So now instead of in the column area, I'm going to drag salesperson name under book name in the row area. And now we can see by each book how many units were sold by each salesperson. Now to rearrange this again, I'm just going to drag salesperson name in the row area before book name instead of after book name. And now we can see every single one of our sales people and how many units of each book that salesperson has sold, and also a total number of units if we would like that as well. Okay, our third and final task with Power Pivot is to create a pivot chart by region and salesperson. So for the third time, we're going to make sure that we're on that Power Pivot tab. On the left hand side, we're going to click Manage the Data Model. This time we're going to click the down arrow under Pivot Table, and we're going to choose Pivot Chart. So once again, we're just going to choose the default for a new worksheet and click OK. Then from table 1, we're going to drag region into the axis. From table 2, click that greater than symbol. We're going to drag salesperson name also into the axis, and then into the sigma values area. From table 1, we're going to drag revenue. So notice over here we have by region all of our different salespeople. It's kind of hard to view, but I'm going to click the background, and up I have a lot of menu tabs up here, but I'm going to go to the menu tab that says design. On the right hand side it says move chart, and I'm going to move chart to a new sheet and click OK. And now we can actually see our chart much better, and we can actually see all of the salespeople by area and what their total revenue has been. And what's very nice is now with our pivot chart we can choose just particular regions. So if we wanted, we can click that down arrow next to region at the bottom, and we can uncheck or click the select all to uncheck it, and then let's say just choose the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast and click OK, and we can suddenly see our chart change and all of the sales by each of the salespeople. And we can get back by just clicking select all once again, and we can see our sales by region and by salesperson. Alright, hopefully you enjoyed our introduction to Power Pivot.